The engine of my old sedan hummed as I sped down the desolate highway, surrounded by an ocean of darkness. The clock had just struck midnight, and I was foolish enough to believe that I could make it home before anything unusual occurred. How wrong I was. Little did I know that this lonely drive would lead me into the depths of a chilling and terrifying alien encounter. With each passing mile, the sense of isolation grew. No other vehicles were in sight, and the radio signal had long abandoned me. I clutched the steering wheel tighter, attempting to shake off the rising unease that was creeping into my mind. Suddenly, my headlights illuminated a strange, flickering light up ahead. I couldn't tell if it was a vehicle or something else entirely. As I approached, my heart raced at the sight of an old abandoned gas station, its faded signs swaying in the breeze. Against my better judgment, I decided to stop for a moment, believing it might be my last chance to find help. The deserted gas station felt eerie. Broken glass and rusted pumps greeted me as I stepped out of the car. The wind howled through the abandoned structures, and a chill ran down my spine. It felt as if I had stumbled into a ghost town in the middle of nowhere. As I was about to get back into my car, I noticed a faint whispering sound emanating from behind the gas station's main building. My curiosity got the better of me, and I cautiously made my way towards the source of the eerie murmuring. Peering around the corner, I froze in terror at what I saw. Before me stood a group of tall, slender figures with elongated limbs and glistening pale skin. Their eyes were large and dark, reflecting the moonlight like obsidian orbs. My breath caught in my throat as the realization hit me. They were not human. I tried to back away silently, but a twig snapped under my foot, and the alien beings turned their heads simultaneously, locking their gaze on me. Fear paralyzed me as they advanced slowly, their elongated fingers reaching out. With my heart pounding in my ears, I stumbled backward, desperate to escape. But they moved with an unnatural swiftness, surrounding me in an instant. Their eerie whispers filled my mind, like a cacophony of incomprehensible languages. It was as if they were trying to communicate with me, yet their intentions remained veiled in mystery. In a last-ditch effort to save myself, I managed to break free from their tightening circle and sprinted back to my car. My hands trembled as I fumbled for the keys and managed to start the engine. I sped off, the haunting whispers fading into the distance as I put as much distance as possible between me and that accursed gas station. My heart still pounded as I continued down the darkened highway. I couldn't shake the feeling that the alien encounter was far from over. In my rearview mirror, I caught glimpses of the strange flickering lights following in pursuit. It was as if they were tracking me, and the realization sent shivers down my spine. Feeling a surge of panic, I pushed my car to its limits, hoping to outrun whatever was behind me. But it was futile. The alien figures were relentless, closing the gap with unnatural speed. It was as if they could control time and space themselves. As the road stretched on, I noticed a faint glimmer of light ahead. A rest stop loomed in the distance, and I prayed that there would be someone, anyone, who could help me there. I screeched into the rest stop and rushed towards the dimly lit building. Inside, I found a lone attendant who looked up with surprise as I burst through the door. "Please, you have to help me," I pleaded, barely able to catch my breath. "What's wrong?" the attendant asked, concern etched on his face. Before I could respond, the flickering lights appeared outside the windows, casting an eerie glow within the building. The attendant's eyes widened in fear as the alien beings materialized before us. Without a word, the creatures reached out with their elongated fingers, enveloping us in a blinding light. My vision blurred as I felt a strange sensation, as if my very essence was being probed and dissected. In that blinding moment, I felt a connection with these beings, an understanding that went beyond words. They were not here to harm us, but to learn from us, to understand our existence. As the light faded, I found myself back in my car, parked by the side of the highway. The rest stop and the attendant were nowhere to be seen. The memories of the encounter were etched into my mind, but no one would believe me. And perhaps I wouldn't have believed it either, had it not been for a small, enigmatic artifact left on my passenger seat, a tangible reminder of a nightmarish journey down the highway of the lost.
I have always loved driving alone at night. The empty roads stretched before me like dark ribbons, and the solitude allowed me to escape the stresses of everyday life. Little did I know that one fateful night would lead to an encounter that would forever haunt my dreams. It was a moonless night, and I was cruising down a desolate highway far from civilization. The radio crackled faintly with static as I embraced the eerie silence. My headlights carved through the darkness, creating a narrow path of visibility ahead. As I drove deeper into the night, an overwhelming feeling of being watched took hold of me. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and a chill ran down my spine. I tried to shake off the unease, attributing it to the loneliness of the road and the darkness that enveloped me. But then, strange lights appeared in the sky, dancing like flickering stars. They moved in ways that defied any explanation, twisting and turning with unnatural grace. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched the mesmerizing display. They were unlike any stars I had ever seen before. As I continued to drive, the lights began to converge, forming a singular glowing orb. It hovered just above the road, emitting an eerie, otherworldly glow that illuminated the surroundings. I couldn't tear my eyes away, drawn in by an inexplicable force. Suddenly, the engine of my car sputtered and died. Panic washed over me as I tried to restart the vehicle, but it remained lifeless. The strange orb seemed to be the cause of the malfunction, though I couldn't comprehend how it could have any effect on my car. Stepping out of the vehicle, I felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. The orb emitted a pulsating hum that resonated in my bones. The light it emitted flickered with an unsettling rhythm, casting eerie shadows on the deserted road. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught movement. Figures emerged from the darkness, humanoid in shape but with an unsettling aura. Their elongated limbs seemed to defy the laws of nature, and their eyes glowed with an intense luminescence. They wore no visible clothing, and their skin seemed to shimmer like liquid silver. Frozen with fear, I watched as they approached, their steps silent and deliberate. I could feel their presence in my mind, probing my thoughts. It was as if they were searching for something, seeking to understand the complexities of the human mind. Unable to move, I could only stare at them, my heart pounding in my chest like a trapped animal. Their inhuman beauty was terrifying, and I struggled to comprehend their intentions. A voice echoed in my head, soft and melodic, yet filled with an underlying sense of menace. "Do not be afraid. We mean you no harm. We are travelers from distant realms, seeking to understand your world." Despite their words, I couldn't shake off the feeling of dread. I knew deep down that their motives were beyond my comprehension, and I was nothing more than an unwitting pawn in their enigmatic plans. They moved closer, and I could now see the intricate patterns on their shimmering skin. It was mesmerizing yet unsettling, as if their bodies were a living canvas of the cosmos. As they surrounded me, their gaze intensified, and I felt a surge of powerlessness. They communicated with each other in a language I couldn't understand, and I could only assume they were discussing my fate. In that moment, I had a glimpse of the vastness of the universe and my insignificance in the face of cosmic beings. It was both awe-inspiring and deeply terrifying. Then, as quickly as they had appeared, they retreated back into the darkness, leaving me alone on the deserted road. The glowing orb above slowly ascended, merging once again with the stars. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, trying to comprehend the surreal encounter. Eventually, my car roared back to life, and I wasted no time in escaping the haunting memory. Since that night, I have never driven alone at night again. The encounter left an indelible mark on my psyche, a constant reminder that there are forces beyond our understanding lurking in the vast expanse of space. I often wonder why they chose to reveal themselves to me, what they learned from my mind, and whether they still watch from the shadows. The encounter haunts my dreams, and I can't help but feel that I am forever changed, forever connected to that enigmatic realm beyond the veil of night.
I'd always enjoyed the thrill of driving alone at night, as the empty roads provided a sense of freedom and solitude. Little did I know that one fateful night, that thrill would transform into an unimaginable nightmare. It was 1987 and a moonless night. The darkness enveloped the desolate highway like a suffocating shroud. The only source of light came from the dim glow of my car's headlights, which seemed to pierce the darkness ahead. I was traveling through an isolated stretch of road, surrounded by dense woods on either side. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my engine and the occasional rustling of leaves in the breeze. As I drove on, a strange unease settled over me, as if I were being watched from the shadows. I tried to dismiss the feeling as mere paranoia, but my heart raced nonetheless. A sudden chill ran down my spine, causing me to grip the steering wheel tighter. Just as I was about to brush off my apprehensions as irrational fears, I saw something ahead in the distance. At first, it appeared as a flickering light, almost like a distant star. But as I got closer, the light grew brighter and more distinct. It was unlike any headlight or street lamp I had ever seen, emitting an eerie, pulsating glow. Curiosity mixed with trepidation as I approached the source of the light. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was entering into something beyond my comprehension. My heart pounded loudly in my chest as I slowed down to get a better look. To my horror, what emerged from the darkness was not a vehicle or any earthly object. It was a spacecraft, hovering just above the road's surface, casting an otherworldly light in every direction. My mind struggled to comprehend what I was witnessing, and for a moment I considered turning around and fleeing from this inexplicable sight. But an inexplicable force compelled me to stay. The spacecraft's design was unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was a grotesque blend of sharp edges and undulating curves, reminiscent of some malevolent creature from a nightmare. As I stared in awe and terror, the craft emitted a low, resonating hum that seemed to penetrate my very soul. Suddenly, a bright beam of light shot out from the bottom of the spacecraft, enveloping my car and rendering me immobile. Panic surged through me as I tried desperately to regain control of my vehicle, but it was as if I were paralyzed. The light engulfed me, and I felt myself being lifted off the ground, suspended in midair. Time lost all meaning as I was transported into the heart of the spacecraft. My mind was flooded with images and sensations beyond comprehension. I saw strange, grotesque beings with elongated limbs and luminous eyes. They moved with an unsettling grace, communicating through a form of telepathy that sent shivers down my spine. As my senses struggled to make sense of the alien surroundings, I could feel a surge of dread washing over me. It was as if these beings were probing my mind, extracting my deepest fears and vulnerabilities. I felt like a lab rat under their scrutiny, utterly defenseless. Eventually, they released me from their grasp, and I found myself back on the desolate highway, my car parked where it had been before. The spacecraft had disappeared into the night, leaving no trace of its presence. I sat in my car, trembling with fear and disbelief, unsure if what I had experienced was real or a figment of my imagination. As I drove away from that nightmarish encounter, a haunting thought lingered in my mind. I was never truly alone on those desolate roads. There were entities beyond our comprehension, lurking in the darkness, watching and waiting. From that day on, I could never again experience the thrill of driving alone at night without feeling the weight of the unknown pressing upon me. The encounter had changed my view of life as I knew it, leaving me haunted by the knowledge that we are not alone in this vast universe and that some truths are better left undiscovered. And so I now caution those who venture out on those desolate highways at night. Be wary of the darkness, for you never know what might be watching from the shadows.
Don't forget to like, share, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our thrilling encounters with the unexplained. Together, let's unravel the mysteries of the cosmos and embrace the truth that lies beyond the stars. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary expedition. Until next time, keep looking to the skies, for the truth is out there.